Welcome to the Explainer. I'm so glad you're here. If you just take a second to look around your home or your office or even your city, it's kind of wild how everything is just talking to each other now, right? That is the massive, mind-boggling scale of the modern Internet of Things. But here's the catch. With that incredible hyper-connected scale comes some really serious questions. So today, we're going to take a deep dive into the architectural promises of IoT, the severe security perils that are hiding just beneath the surface, and the strategic path enterprises are carving out as we barrel toward 2026.
Okay, let's look at our roadmap for today. We're going to kick things off with the architecture of AIoT, then move into IT and OT convergence, explore the IoT security landscape, tackle data privacy and ethics, and wrap up with 2026 IoT strategies. All right, Section 1, the architecture of AIoT. So the official ISO/IEC definition of the Internet of Things is actually super expansive. It defines it as an infrastructure of interconnected entities, people, systems, and information resources together with services which process and react to information from the physical and virtual world. I know, that's a mouthful, but the point is, we are not just talking about your smart fridge here. This interconnected infrastructure is literally the invisible backbone making everything possible, from smart buildings with automated heating and cooling, right up to incredibly complex industrial robotics. And to make all of that work, AIoT systems usually operate across three distinct layers. First up, the device layer. This is where your sensors and actuators are out there in the real world actually collecting the data. Then you have the connectivity layer, which transmits that data using protocols like MQTT or HTTP. And finally, the compute layer. This is where AI models actually process the data. But here is something really interesting happening right now. This processing is rapidly shifting away from centralized clouds and moving straight to the edge. Why? Well, hardware costs are dropping, and today's apps need sub-second response times. You just can't get that if you're sending data halfway around the world to a server and waiting for it to come back.
Which leads us right into Section 2, IT and OT convergence.
So let's look at this massive convergence that's happening. On one hand, you have IT, or information technology, which handles all our data-centric computing. On the other hand, you have OT, operational technology, which is all about monitoring and adjusting actual physical events and processes. Now, when you smash these two together, it's a real game changer. You're transforming isolated devices into fully integrated smart cities and automated industrial systems. It's an amazing synergy. But, as we're about to see, it also opens up a whole new level of risk.
Think of it like this. Deploying IoT at this massive scale without rock-solid security is basically like building a beautiful, huge, sprawling smart city where absolutely none of the doors have locks. When IT and OT converge, every single sensor, every smart plug, every actuator suddenly becomes a potential entry point for trouble. And if bad actors manage to get in, well, they aren't just stealing data anymore. They can literally manipulate physical environments. Which brings us to Section 3, the IoT security landscape. I think this quote from the Bitdefender 2025 IoT Security Landscape Report really hits the nail on the head. They state, IoT insecurity stems from simplicity and scale. And that makes total sense, right? A lot of times, manufacturers are just trying to get a cheap, functional product to market as fast as possible. So they end up prioritizing that over things like robust encryption or strong authentication. Now multiply that simplicity by billions of devices around the globe, and wow, you are looking at a truly unprecedented attack surface. And this threat landscape is really two-pronged. On one side, you have the simple devices. Think smart plugs or basic sensors. They're designed to make life easy, but because they often have really poor memory safety and validation, they serve as super easy gateways into a network. Then, on the flip side, you have the complex devices like network-attached storage or NAS units. These things are data-heavy, incredibly valuable targets, and unfortunately, they're often highly complex, underpatched, and practically defenseless. So basically, the simple devices let the attackers in, but the complex devices are what they're actually hunting for. Now, if we break down the specific types of vulnerabilities, overflow and denial of service, or DOS attacks, absolutely dominate the landscape. And this points right back to that poor memory safety we just talked about. But I want you to look at that 15 for privilege escalation. Sure, it's a smaller piece of the pie chart, but it is terrifyingly impactful. Privilege escalation is what allows a hacker to gain full, totally unrestricted control of a compromised device. Like the report points out, the smarter the device, the more creative the ways it can break.
All right, Section 4, Data, Privacy, and Ethics.
Because, these security flaws aren't just technical glitches. The sheer volume of data being hoovered up by IoT systems raises some incredibly serious ethical questions. For starters, these devices often just operate silently in the background, collecting a ton of personal info without any real informed consent. And once that data gets handed off to third parties, things get super murky regarding who actually owns and controls it. Throw in the continuous monitoring happening in smart homes, and you are looking at a massive risk of surveillance and the erosion of personal privacy. Pair all that with the weak encryption and default passwords we talked about earlier, and you've got a perfect storm for severe data exploitation.
So how on earth do we actually fix this? Well, the answer lies in a framework called Privacy by Design, or PBD for short. Instead of slapping privacy measures on at the end like a Band-Aid, PBD means building them in from the very first blueprint. It really boils down to 3 core principles. 1, minimizing data collection. Basically, only grab the data you absolutely need. 2, ensuring robust data encryption for all collected and transmitted info. And 3, this one's huge, putting control back into the user's hands so they have the actual ability to modify, delete, or restrict access to their own data.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, 2026 IoT Strategies. To make sure these systems actually stay secure and reliable, enterprise industrial IoT deployments are standardizing across 3 key layers. First is edge computing. Like we mentioned earlier, processing data locally cuts down on latency and keeps critical operations running even if the cloud goes down. Second, containerized applications. This is all about packaging software securely into these isolated, easily portable units. And third, you absolutely need robust device management platforms. Operations teams have to have centralized control so they can instantly push out critical security updates and monitor the health of literally millions of devices at once. But here is a major wrinkle. As companies try to deploy these systems globally, they're running headfirst into a really divided cellular landscape. In the US and APAC markets, things are accelerating super fast toward 5G standalone networks, which is what gives you that ultra-low latency and cool features like network slicing. But over in European markets, they're primarily rolling out 5G non-standalone, which gives a nice speed boost, sure, but it still relies heavily on legacy 4G cores. For enterprise leaders, this is a massive headache. It means they have to design multi-RAT devices, hardware that's backward compatible for today's networks, but also forward-ready for tomorrow's. It's a tricky balancing act in a 2-speed world. Despite all that fragmentation, though, there is one piece of tech emerging as a massive driver for 2026, and that is fixed wireless access, or FWA. People are literally calling this the 5G killer application for enterprises. Basically, FWA provides top-tier, high-performance connectivity for things like pop-up retail, remote business sites, and smart city infrastructure. And it does it by completely bypassing the awful delays and crazy high costs of laying traditional fixed physical lines. Looking ahead, network operators are basically going to offer FWA as a fully managed service, just bundling the hardware, the security, and the connectivity all into one neat package. Finally, we got to talk about the new SGP32 standard. Now, on paper, this thing sounds fantastic. It promises operator-agnostic connectivity and gives enterprises a lot more freedom to just switch networks over the air. But, and this is a big but, experts are warning this could lead to a really dangerous DIY dilution. Think about it. If a company tries to independently manage multiple operator profiles and deeply technical configurations across millions of devices, they are going to drown in technical debt real fast. And honestly, that's exactly why this new freedom is going to end up driving massive demand for comprehensive managed IoT services that just give companies a single point of accountability. So we've covered a lot today. We've seen the architectural brilliance of AIoT, the scary vulnerabilities that come with massive scale and IT/OT convergence, and the strategic game plans enterprises are locking in for 2026. But it all leaves us with one incredibly important question to chew on. As we sprint to build out this global digital infrastructure, is the ultimate convenience of a hyper-connected world actually worth the inherent privacy and security trade-offs? It's something every manufacturer, every business, and honestly every single one of us is going to have to answer in the years ahead. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.